Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I wish I could speak in Malayalam, but I was told that instead of Urdu, if I speak in English, that will be better understood. Please forgive me if I'm not able to reach across to everybody. I must congratulate the organizers for organizing such a huge conference and such a successful conference on a range of subjects, basically of social reform, which the community needs very desperately, very badly. In fact, the topic given to me particularly is of interest and very great relevance. Renaissance in Islam, revival, rebirth. What exactly does it mean? There were glorious days of Islam once upon a time, just after the Prophet, for almost 500 years. The dates given are 790 AD to 1258, when Islam was the dominant force in literature, philosophy, science, medicine, and mathematics. What happened? Why have we declined? Where do we stand? We have to get inspiration from another minority, the Jews. There are hardly 1% in the world, just 1%. But if you see their performance in science, technology, medicine, you will be amazed. In 100 years, only 13 Muslims have got Nobel laureate, Nobel Prize. 13. And in the same period, 212 Jews have got Nobel Prize. What is the secret? That we have to understand. Obviously, it is education. And that is what we need to emphasize. Now, it is ironical that the religion which started with the word Iqra, recite or read, O Prophet, where the word ilm is mentioned in the Quran 750 times, whereas the name of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam figures only 4 times. But ilm is mentioned 750 times. But Muslims are the most backward in the country, the worldwide. We need to examine that thing. I grew up in a family, a religious family, where we were told that Islam is a complete way of life. But all that we have heard through the years is nikah, talaq, nikah, talaq, nikah, talaq, as if there is nothing to Islam except nikah and talaq. There was a range of subjects which Islam covered: equality, justice, fairness, brotherhood, mercy, compassion, solidarity, freedom, business ethics, environmental concern. All these things, they are integral to Islam, but the complete way of life which Islam is has been confined to only marital issues. So we need to have a relook at that. We are going through a challenging time, for no doubt, in the country. There is a climate of hate and acrimony. Yet, there is a large section of the majority community raising its voice against it. In fact, I always say that India is secular because Hindus are secular. And why I say this? India was partitioned in 1947 in the name of religion. The other country was Pakistan, based on Islam, a Muslim country. India could have easily chosen to become a Hindu Rashtra then, but they did not. The Constituent Assembly, with one voice, unanimously opted for secularism. And at that time, 83% of the Constituent Assembly members were Hindus, and mostly upper caste Hindus, but they still opted for secularism. That is the beauty of the country, that is the beauty of Hinduism, because through 5,000 years of invasions from across the world, Hinduism was actually able to influence those religions and was always tolerant, accommodated everyone very peacefully. I personally believe that the current phase of acrimony and hatred is temporary. After the partition, when almost 1 million people were killed, 2 million were displaced, within 5-10 years, harmony was restored. We became one again. If we have gone through that trauma, of that tragedy, and recovered from it, I'm sure this phase is very temporary and we will come out of it successfully. Now, it is equally important for Muslims to be secular. They also have to use the same language. We have to be sensitive to the sensibilities of the majority community. Now, the last and final point which I'm making is, why is the Muslim community backward? I think the reason is lack of education. It is ironic that the religion which emphasizes the education, its followers are the most backward. We have to ensure that we focus on enrollment of all children of school-going age. We have to ensure that there are no dropouts, particularly girls. When they start growing, they are withdrawn from schools. That should be stopped. And very importantly, quality of education. On paper, we have lots of educated people. We in the government, we have seen lakhs of vacancies. When we advertise for those vacancies, when people appear before us, their biodata is very impressive, but when they appear before us and open their mouth, we realize that they are illiterate. They know nothing. The quality of education has to improve, and that is what we must all focus on. And the existing schools, the new schools, everything should focus on it. Now, we are also very poor as a country in vocational education. Our skilled manpower is only 5%. But just with 5%, we are almost ruling the world. In the US, in Europe, because of our IT knowledge, our people are ruling. Just 5% is skilled. Imagine if 10% were skilled, 15% were skilled, we would really be the biggest economic power. I think the country needs to focus on it, and we as a community need to focus on it. Then there is the issue of family planning, an issue which agitates many people, and the perception is that Muslims contribute to population explosion. I have recently written a book called Population Myth, Islam, Family Planning and Politics in India. When I was writing the book, it opened my mind, it opened my eyes, and I found that Islam is not against family planning. On the contrary, Islam is the pioneer of the concept of family planning. Islam talked about the quality of people, their need for good upbringing, importance of health of women and children, and small family and a good family. That is the concept which came surprisingly from Islam 1400 years ago. Professor Abdul Rahim Omran of Al-Azhar University, Cairo, has written that it is amazing, it is a marvel that 1400 years ago, when there was no population pressure in the world anywhere, Islam was talking of a small family and a prosperous family, good upbringing, leaving a good legacy. And this Kerala is doing extremely well. Muslims of Kerala have better family planning performance than Hindus of Bihar and UP. Why? Because you have understood the value and importance of family planning. You are better educated than 2, 3 North Indian states, which is something you should be proud of. We are proud of Kerala, and I personally feel that we South is doing well in education, much better than the North, East, and West. We need to learn from your experience. We need to organize more experience sharing, more exchange visits, more hand holding by you of northern Indian states, so that we all grow up here together. We have recently, some friends have opened an association, started an association called I Do, Alliance for Educational and Economic Empowerment of the Underprivileged, where we'll be focusing on education and vocational training. We have gone to Karnataka, we had gone to Hyderabad, and we saw beautiful institutions. We will be visiting Kerala and Tamil Nadu soon to learn from your experience and talk about it when we go back in the north. My final word is that this topic given to me, Renaissance. I would request the organizers to please put together a small committee to do research why Muslims were doing so well for 500 years initially and why we went down and how we can reverse the situation and revive the glory that the community actually well deserved. So if you set up that committee, let us study what has gone wrong and undo it and reverse the process and work for the revival of the glory that Islam was, that Muslim community was. Thank you very much.